Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing some French country thrift flips using IOD. You can find a full product list in the description of this video and all your crafting needs on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Our first project is this lovely clock that I found at the thrift store. I thought it had a lot of potential. So after cleaning, I'm going to make up a mix of chocolate chalk mineral paint and sea spray texture additive. I'm mixing it and stirring it in well, and then I'm going to be using a chip brush to dab and stipple the product all over my clock. I want this to have a really old world vintage feel, and I'm definitely going to be doing some layering of some colors here today. Remember, the more sea spray that you have in your paint mix, the more texture that you're going to get. If you feel like you've got too much texture, you're just going to add a little bit of paint to thin it out. So you can see that I'm working my way around the clock, I'm brushing it on, and then I'm dabbing and stippling. This is what creates those lovely textured peaks that's going to give us that layered old chippy world look. I'm going to set this to one side to dry for a few hours. It does tend to take longer with sea spray in it to dry. I'm then going to be using my classic elements and my olive crest molds from IOD with Jovi air dry clay. After dusting my molds with cornstarch, I'm pressing the Jovi air dry clay into this little square design from the classic elements molds first, and then I'm going to take one of the other elements from the olive crest mold as well. I'm not going to go overboard here. The little clock is already beautiful. We just want to add a little bit of something special, so that square one's going on the top. I'm using a strong wood glue to glue that down, and our element from the olive crest mold is going to go in the center underneath where the clock sits. After about half an hour, I'm coming in with a little bit of that chocolate sea spray mixture. I'm just dabbing a little bit of texture on, and then I'm going to take just the chalk paint on its own, and with an artist brush, I'm going over the top of my molds and just filling in all those areas I want it to be the same color as the body of the clock. You just want to be really, really gentle at this stage so that you don't damage any of the details. I left this to dry overnight, and now I'm coming with Dixie Belle's Buttercream chalk mineral paint, and you can see that I'm brushing it on, but I'm not being careful to get full coverage here. I want that paint to skip and miss some of the texture. We want that to peek through. I don't want it to be too overwhelming, so I will come in shortly with a very light second coat, but we still do want some of that brown showing through. This is going to give it that antiqued, worn feel. I'll also go in and add some paint to the bottom of the clock as well. Once my paint is completely dry, I'm going to seal the entire thing with Dixie Belle's Gloss Clear Coat. I'm then going to be watering down some of Dixie Belle's Tobacco Road Voodoo Gel Stain, and I'm going to be applying this very similar to a glaze or a wash. So I'm brushing it on, and because I have that gloss clear coat underneath it, I am now able to come in and add a little bit of water with my mister, and then also come in with a paper towel and a baby wipe to wipe back a lot of the excess. What I want is for this to sit in the cracks and crevices and to hold on to that texture that we created with the sea spray. So I'm going to be doing this to the entire clock, obviously paying particular attention also to my beautiful castings that we added earlier. If you don't like this sort of antiqued look, you could definitely leave this step out, or perhaps you could go in with a white wax and go in a bit of a different direction and lighten it up. It really is up to you and what sort of a look you're trying to achieve. If you do want to achieve this look and you don't have access to the same products I'm using, just remember that an antiquing wax could also work, a paint wash could also work as well. Once I've added the Tobacco Road tone to the whole clock, I'll set this off to the side to dry. The final touch on the clock today is Dixie Belle's gold gilding wax. I've got a little bit of it on my finger and I'm just going around and lightly touching the castings that I made, the edges of the clock, and just really trying to give it a faded, gilded look like the gold has worn off over time. Now I need to go back and add the clock face, so I'm going to very carefully put it back into place. It's pretty easy to do that. And then I decided that I wanted to add some more of the gilding wax to the clock, so I've got a little bit more on my finger. I'm going around and adding it to the outside, and I'm not worried about getting it on the glass because I am able to come in with a baby wipe and wipe back the excess. So I've added the gilding, and then I thought I wanted to dial it back a little bit, just make it look a little bit more faded and worn, so I'm using that same baby wipe to tone back the gold. Stick around till the end to see how this beautiful clock turned out. Our last project is this set of candlesticks. Now these are beautiful, but to me they just looked a little bit plain, and I thought that they would look much better in a more aged finish. I decided to tie them in with our first project, so I'm using that same chocolate sea spray mixture and I'm dabbing and stippling it on the entire candlestick. We want to give these some texture, we want them to look a bit older and worn, so we're adding it to both of the candlesticks all over. When I am going for an antiqued look, I do like to have at least 3 colours to work with, and it always helps to have a bit of a darker colour as well. So today that chocolate tone is our darker base colour. Once I've covered these completely with our sea spray mixture, I'll set them off to the side to dry. Later in the day, I'm able to come in and add another layer. We're coming in and just dabbing on some of Dixie Belle's Manatee Grey. This is a second colour that I would like to have little hints of peeking through. Again, we're thinking about those layers. Once all my layers are dry, I'm now going to come in with Dixie Belle's Buttercream Chalk Mineral Paint, and I do want to have this layer to be a little bit thick as well, so I am going to add a bit of sea spray to the Buttercream mixture, and I'm just stirring that up with my brush. I don't want it to be too thick, but we're now going to come in and I'm brushing it over the top of our first layers, and again you can see that I am not going for full coverage. I want some of those layers to show through, so just adding a little bit more paint. The mixture was a little bit thicker than I had anticipated, and then I'm able to come in and start really getting some more coverage on those candlesticks. I'm making sure that we do have the other layers peeking through though. This is going to be to your liking. I want hints of our layers to show through. So some of you may be thinking, well, that color is actually pretty similar to how it started, but now we have texture, now we have those other colors peeking through, now these have some character. Before they were pretty boring, and I really feel like adding these layers and giving it that old world look, it really just transforms these into statement pieces. And remember, you don't have to use the same colors as I am. This is just an example of how you can use texture and layers to give something that's a bit underwhelming more character and to really create that interest. So I've applied that third coat, and I will do exactly the same process on the other candlestick. Once I'm finished with that buttercream layer, I will set these to the side to dry. I'm now going to seal both of the candlesticks with Dixie Belle's Gloss Clear Coat. If you wanted to leave it here, you could, and you could seal it with a wax or a flat clear coat. I'm adding the gloss because we are going for the same look as our clock. Once my clear coat is dry, I'm going to water down some more Tobacco Road Voodoo gel stain, and we're going to do a very similar process to what we did with the clock. I'm going to be brushing it on, making sure that I work it into all of those crevices and all those details, and then wiping it back. I'm also going to use my mister as well to help the product move, and I'm going to be repeating the same process all the way up the candlestick, being sure that it's catching that texture that we made and really creating that antiqued look that we're going for. Again, if an antiqued look is not for you, you would skip this part, or you would come in with some sort of a whitewash or a wax that's a bit lighter. I just love going in with my glazes and really giving my pieces some depth, but I know that that look is not for everybody. So I'm working my way up the candlestick, adding product, taking it off. The paper towel is going to take off less product than, say, a baby wipe. So if you get a little bit too much on there, remember, water and the baby wipe is going to help you get a little bit more off. I'm going to be repeating the same process on both candlesticks. I won't make you watch me do the other one because it is a little bit repetitive. Once both candlesticks are dry, we can add the finishing touch, which is, of course, my gold gilding wax. So I've got a little bit on my finger and I'm going around and I'm just hitting a few spots, some of the round details, and then I will add it also to some of the edges down the bottom as well. This will be to your liking, how much or how little you're going to use. Again, I want it to match the clock, so I want it to look like it has weathered and worn away. I don't want it to be too overwhelming. I'll repeat the same process on both of the candlesticks. The gilding wax I'm using is oil-based, so it's always going to be your last step. And here are our finished projects. I love how these turned out. I think that adding that sea spray texture and then hitting those points with the Tobacco Road has really given this a very French chateau feel. Let me know what you think of these projects in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and share it out to a friend that you think might enjoy it. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. You can find the products used in today's video on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.